Let's do this. Let's jump into where we were right, where we were wrong here before we really get down to breaking down what their actual record is in here, okay? I think, again, Chris, where we were right, where we were wrong with this is, again, kind of like we talked about, they look kind of small to me, right? Before we get into this, they look kind of small to me on both lines of the scrimmage here, all right? I watched some of their practice film. That defense was getting picked apart by walk-on running backs, all right? The big question in this, Chris, and I'm sure you know it, the big question here is, obviously Deion's going to continue to recruit. Post-spring, I think he's going to continue trying to bring people in here. But how fast can he get them up to speed, even when he gets them in there, right? Their best players on this roster, they're going to be Shedeur Sanders, Travis Hunter, Jimmy Horn, from UCF, Cavassier Smoke from Kentucky. Travis Hunter, one of the best players in his class, right? He's going to be getting into playing both sides of the ball. I know you've touched on that. He's going to be playing a little bit of receiver for him. And he's also going to be their number one cornerback. Speaking of cornerbacks, okay, Cormani McClain, the number one cornerback in the country last year, is going to be actually getting some playing time with Travis Hunter splitting both sides of the ball, right? So he's going to get some playing time very early there. Look, I'm saying all this, and this is where this is all tying into about where we were right, where we were wrong here, Chris. I think where we were right, we said the future is bright for him, all right? At least skill position-wise, they're going to have...
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, they're gonna definitely have some things to kind of lean on there, and good for them, man. In the next 3 years, it's really a 3 to 5 year window, I think, at Colorado with Deion is really what it is. I just don't see it being more than 3. That's where I think we were right here on this, or going to be right. Future's really bright for him. Where we were wrong, I think expecting them to win right away is really the big thing there, right?
With you. No, I think I mean, but win, man. You're coming off a 1-11 season, Christian. I mean, you win 5 games. That's better than the year before by 4 games, bro. I wish Nebraska would win 8 this year. I mean, that's I think we're both right and we're both wrong on a few things here, and I think that you probably have more of the realistic, outcome than I do. But I'm really, really banking on Deion Sanders, man. I listen to a lot of his podcasts. I listen to a lot of his speeches. I watch a lot of, pregame stuff or I should say preseason stuff with him, man. I really like what he's doing, man. He motivates me, and I'm sitting in a fucking vehicle driving, right? I just think what he's going to do with those kids. And yes, I will agree with you before you got interrupted there with the connection was they do look small. They really do. I will say that. There's some high school teams that look like almost like they're bigger than they are, and I hate saying that, but the skill positions, yeah, it's great, but if you don't got somebody blocking, man, we know that. And I'm not trying to flip-flop here, but it's going to be very interesting. Colorado is a very, very they're probably what? Would you agree? They're probably the hottest topic in college football this offseason. You know what I mean?
Without a doubt, man. I mean, I think they're the big ticket right now as far as where everybody's talking about is what they're going to do. I'm just saying when you think about this from other standpoints, dude, I think Colorado, you said it best. And it's funny because Children of the Corn brings up Nebraska. You're a Nebraska fan. We talk about this a lot. They remind me a lot of what like last year's Nebraska team was, right? Shit ton of really good skill players, right? You bring in a guy that's experienced at this or not at this level in Shedeur Sanders, but Casey Thompson at Nebraska. You've got Trey Palmer, out there as a dynamic. Yeah, Anthony Grant. So you've got these guys, that's Cavassier Smoke, Travis Hunter, and Shedeur Sanders in this situation, right? They're bringing in some linebackers that are transferring out of some Power 5 programs that have actually played a little bit. But the defensive line, brother. The defensive line is the biggest question mark, and that was last year for Nebraska. That was their biggest question. And the scheme, you watched it happen too much, and I called it before the season even kicked off last year. Guys were, offensive linemen that Nebraska was playing. They were getting up to that next level. They were blocking linebackers, and they were just running the ball down the throats there, right? And then what would happen is they'd run that little RPO system and they would just dink and dunk down the field. And it was just death by 1,000 pieces, man. It sucked. The other side of that, and we talk about this all the time, is where I draw the parallel here is, Chris, I think you got to ask yourself too, the offensive line, their offensive line has got to be a lot better. I mean, Shedeur Sanders can be good. I think if they run that RPO style of offense, because that's kind of what they want to do, right? They kind of want to run the little bit of some read options, RPO, kind of dink and dunky down the field. If they can do that, they can kind of hide that weakness, I feel as if, in the offensive line.
Excuse me. Yeah, no, I agree. I'm going to take my stance here, Christian, and this is, I know you don't fully believe me on this one, and I'll put my foot in the ground. I just believe Pac-12 defenses are soft compared to most of the Power 5 conferences, and I think they're going to be able to put up some points, and they're going to get in some of those shootouts. And Colorado's got some athletes, man. They really, truly do compared to some of the other teams in that conference. But yeah, it does come down to defense. I think defense does win you championships 100%. But I'm not saying Colorado's going to win a Pac-12 title this year. Hell, they're not even going to compete for one with the schedule they have. But I do think they get some wins. I think they get hotter at the end of the year. But obviously, the season is going to be rough for them to start. They could easily go 1-4 off the rip. I mean, there is no doubt with the TCU, Nebraska. They definitely could lose both those games for sure. I think they got Colorado State. I think a lot of people are probably saying they beat them. But then you got USC and Oregon, man. I mean, that's fucking brutal. That's brutal for any team in the country. You know what I mean? Those are some good football teams there. I'll even throw Nebraska kind of into that mix. But yeah, you know what? I'm with you, man. I'm going to bank high, man. I'm going to ride the Deion Sanders hype. I'm probably going to get let down, but you know what? Like I said, man, I truly believe in the guy. I think he's going to do a good job. And you did touch on a great topic, Christian. I give you 100% credence to this one. He's only going to be there for 3 to 4 years, without a doubt. And yeah, we're probably wrong. I'm probably a little bit wrong as far as the hype goes this year. Next year, going to look a little bit different, but 100% agree with you on that one. Though it's not you, but me, probably dick riding a little bit too hard right now. But I'm gonna like I said, man, I'm gonna put my faith in the guy, and we'll see how it pans out.